Imagine facing a monster where every attack makes it stronger. Every head you cut off spawns two more. Its breath kills instantly. Its blood is so toxic, it can murder gods. This is the Lernaean Hydra, a creature literally designed by the goddess Hera to be the perfect hero killer. But here's the insane part. When Heracles defeated this impossible monster, he didn't just win the battle. He created the most deadly weapon in all of mythology. Arrows so poisonous they could kill immortal beings. Arrows that would make him a legend. And in the cruelest twist of fate, these same arrows, born from his greatest victory, would eventually be the weapon that destroys him. This is how a hero's triumph became his doom, and why sometimes winning is the most dangerous. After strangling the invincible Nemean lion, Heracles returns to King Eurystheus, wearing the beast's golden hide as armor. But Hera isn't finished with her persecution. The second labor will pit the hero against a creature whose very breath can kill, whose blood turns arrows into instruments of divine death. Today, you'll witness the most famous monster battle in mythology and discover how victory created a weapon that would kill gods, heroes, and even Heracles himself. In the poisonous swamps of Lerna lurked a creature that made the Nemean lion look tame. The Lernaean Hydra was born from the primordial monsters Typhon and Echidna, designed by Hera herself to be the perfect Heracles killer. This wasn't just a large snake. The Hydra possessed 9 heads, each one capable of independent thought and action. Its breath was so toxic that anyone who inhaled it died instantly. Its saliva could melt bronze. Its blood was the most deadly poison in existence, so potent that even the gods feared it. But the creature's most terrifying feature was its regeneration. When any head was severed, 2 new ones would grow back in its place, each more venomous than the original. The monster literally became stronger through injury. Local villagers had abandoned the entire region around Lake Lerna. The swamp itself had become a wasteland where nothing could grow, where even birds died if they flew too close. The Hydra's mere presence poisoned the earth for miles in every direction. King Eurystheus smiled when he announced this labor. "Bring me proof that the Lernaean Hydra is dead," he commanded from the safety of his bronze hiding jar. He was certain he had finally found a monster that would kill the troublesome hero. Heracles approached Lerna, wearing the Nemean lion's hide, but even divine protection couldn't shield him from the Hydra's environmental toxicity. The closer he got to the monster's lair, the more the very air tried to kill him. Dead trees lined the path, their bark blackened by poisonous mist. The ground was cracked and barren, stained with patches of sickly green where the Hydra's saliva had touched. Even insects avoided this cursed place. The hero's first glimpse of his enemy was terrifying. The Hydra coiled around a massive boulder near the poisonous lake, its 9 heads swaying hypnotically. Each head was the size of a horse, covered in scales that gleamed with venomous slime. Yellow eyes tracked Heracles' approach with malevolent intelligence. When the monster spoke, all 9 heads spoke in unison, their voices creating a hideous harmony. "Welcome, son of Zeus. We have been waiting for you to die." Heracles' first attack seemed successful. Drawing his sword, he leaped forward and severed the Hydra's central head with a single perfect strike. The head flew through the air, landing in the poisonous swamp with a splash. But victory turned to horror as two new heads erupted from the severed neck, larger and more venomous than the original. Now the Hydra had 10 heads instead of 9, and they were all focused on killing Heracles. The regenerated heads struck like lightning, forcing the hero to dodge attacks from multiple directions simultaneously. Heracles' strength was useless against an enemy that became stronger every time he heard it. Desperate, he severed 3 more heads in rapid succession. 6 new heads grew back, giving the monster 13 total. Each new head seemed more intelligent and aggressive than those before it. The Hydra's laughter echoed across the wasteland as it spoke through its multiplying mouths. "Thank you, hero. Every wound makes us more powerful. Soon we will have enough heads to devour you slowly." Heracles retreated to reassess the situation, his mind racing. Your strength couldn't win this battle. He needed strategy. The hero remembered stories of wounds that wouldn't heal, of cuts that had to be sealed immediately to prevent infection. Fire. If he could cauterize each neck immediately after severing the head, perhaps new ones wouldn't grow. His nephew, Iolaus, had followed the hero to Lerna, driving a war chariot loaded with supplies. Now he would become the first sidekick in heroic legend. "Light the arrows!" Heracles shouted to his companion. "When I cut, you burn." What followed was the most coordinated monster battle in mythology. Heracles would leap in, sever a head with his sword, then leap back as Iolaus fired burning arrows into the severed neck, cauterizing the wound before regeneration could begin. The strategy worked, but it required perfect timing and absolute trust. One mistake would kill them both. Head by head, they reduced the Hydra's numbers. 13 became 12, 12 became 11, 11 became 10. With each successful amputation and cauterization, the monster's attacks became more frenzied. But as they neared, this final head was also the largest and most intelligent. It spoke with ancient wisdom as it prepared for its final attack. "You cannot kill what never lived, hero. I am death itself, given form." Faced with an immortal enemy, Heracles did something unprecedented. He gave up trying to kill it. Instead, he grabbed the immortal head with his bare hands and wrestled it to the ground. Using his divine strength, he lifted an enormous boulder, one that would have crushed a normal man, and trapped the immortal head beneath it. The head couldn't be killed, but it could be buried so deep that it would never threaten anyone again. With all heads either destroyed or buried, the Hydra's body finally collapsed. The monster that had terrorized the region for generations was defeated through strategy, teamwork, and thinking beyond conventional victory. But Heracles' greatest prize wasn't the Hydra's death, it was its blood. The hero carefully collected the monster's venomous blood in a sealed container, creating the most deadly poison in existence. This blood was so potent that even a tiny amount could kill gods themselves. Heracles dipped his arrows in the Hydra's blood, creating weapons that would make him legendary. These poisoned arrows would slay monsters that no normal weapons could harm. They would bring down enemies that seemed invincible. but they would also bring tragedy. The same poison that made Heracles unstoppable would eventually kill him. In a story of love, jealousy, and accidental murder that lay far in the future. When news of the Hydra's defeat reached Olympus, Hera's rage shook the heavens. Her perfect monster, designed specifically to kill Heracles, had been defeated through cleverness. But the goddess noticed something that pleased her dark heart. Heracles hadn't won alone. He had needed help from his nephew Iolaus to achieve victory. Hera whispered poison into King Eurystheus' ear. The hero cheated. He had assistance. This labor doesn't count. The terrified king, eager to please the queen of gods, declared that Heracles' second labor was invalid. The hero would have to perform 13 labors instead of 12, because teamwork was somehow cheating. This divine injustice revealed the true nature of heroism. Heroes weren't expected to be perfect. They were expected to be alone. The greatest strength was seen as weakness if it came through friendship and cooperation. King Eurystheus, now desperate to find something that could kill Heracles, consulted with Hera about the next impossible task. The Queen of Gods smiled with malicious inspiration. "Send him after the golden hind of Artemis," she suggested. "A deer sacred to my stepdaughter, the virgin huntress. If he kills it, Artemis will destroy him for sacrilege. If he fails to capture it, you can execute him for disobedience." It was the perfect trap, a task where success and failure both led to death. But Hera underestimated the hero she was trying to destroy. Each impossible task was teaching Heracles to think beyond brute force. Each victory was making him not just stronger, but wiser. The man who had strangled the Nemean lion and outwitted the Lernaean Hydra was evolving from a powerful warrior into something far more dangerous. A hero. Word of Heracles' victory spread across the Greek world. Bards sang songs of the hero who wore a lion's hide and carried arrows that could kill gods. Parents told their children stories of the man who made the impossible look easy. But those closest to Heracles saw the true cost of heroism. Each victory required him to become a little less human. Each monster he killed took something from his soul. Each impossible task pushed him further from the normal life he secretly craved. The Hydra's poison now flowed through his arrows, making them deadly beyond measure. But poison was poison, whether it killed enemies or friends. The very weapon that made him unstoppable would someday make him the most dangerous thing he had ever faced. The battle with the Lernaean Hydra established the pattern that would define Heracles throughout his labors. Strength alone wasn't enough. He needed intelligence, strategy, and allies to achieve the impossible. But the victory came with hidden costs. The poisoned arrows that made him legendary would eventually destroy him. The teamwork that ensured success was declared cheating by jealous gods. The very qualities that made him heroic were the ones that divine authority sought to punish. Hera's plan was backfiring perfectly. Every attempt to destroy Heracles was making him more famous, more skilled, and more dangerous. The Queen of Gods was creating the very legend she was trying to prevent. The Golden Hind awaited, and with it, a challenge that would test not Heracles' strength, but his wisdom. What do you think was the real tragedy here? Was it Heracles creating his own death weapon, or the gods punishing him for using teamwork? The Hydra battle shows us that sometimes our greatest victories carry the seeds of our destruction. Drop a comment below. Would you have collected that poisonous blood, knowing it might kill you someday? And if you're fascinated by how ancient myths reveal timeless truths about human nature, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more legendary stories that will change how you see the world. The greatest myths aren't just entertainment. They're warnings about the price of power.